Mike Evans is on the rise in average draft position. DeAndre Swift moving down. Mark Andrews moving down 6 spots in the latest ADP. What's that all about? Plus big moves in ADP for Logan Thomas, for Trevor Lawrence. We will talk about that on today's show. We will also tell you another way to get into a podcast league and about the Fantasy Football Today Open, which is something that's really, really awesome and going to be in its second year. I am Adam Azer. Hello, Jamie Eisenberg.
Hello, Adam Azer.
Hello, sir. Hello, Chris Towers.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, man. Hey, Heath Cummings.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, okay. That's the cast of characters on today's show. I'm going to try to read your emails, fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. And by the way, you guys like poker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like losing.
Well, there are no losers in this poker tournament. We'll tell you about it. It is for charity. It is for St. Jude. You have an opportunity to get in. Much more information coming up in a little bit. And I plan on reading a few podcast league entries as well, as I have made my selections for the Monday night draft, but we also have the For the People League, so there are some more spots available.
Is that this Monday?
Yeah, coming up Monday night, 8 p.m. All right, the biggest ADP riser that we haven't talked about lately. Okay, I'm not going to make this another James Robinson segment. The biggest ADP riser that we haven't talked about lately is Logan Thomas. Dave did talk about him. I don't remember what show it was on, but he said that Thomas is his tight end 7 now. But he is now up 24 spots to 103rd overall. Same ADP as Tyler Higbee. So they're they're tied as tight end 9, tight end 10. Behind Noah Fant, behind Dallas Goedert, ahead of Robert Tonyan, ahead of Herb Smith. Jamie, do you get it? You understand why Logan Thomas is now moving up to around pick 100?
Yeah, he's my number 7 tight end in PPR as well. You just look at that group of guys and, Fant, Smith, Higbee. I'm trying to think of the other guys that are in that range. Gesicki. Thomas has looked great in the preseason.
Goddard still there for you, by the way?
Goddard, no. It's hard to trust him.
Okay.
While Ertz is there. You look at, the way Fitzpatrick has looked for him in the preseason. The training camp reports have been positive. Curtis Samuel's not been on the field. So, Thomas could easily be the second best pass catcher in this offense. And, we saw Fitzpatrick do some nice things with Mike Gesicki over the last couple of years as well. So it's a messy group, but, you have at least a strong finish for Thomas last year and a guy who maybe just, took a little while to come into his own at the position. So I'll buy in for sure.
Anybody not buying in?
I struggle with it just because so much of his success last year was volume driven. He wasn't particularly efficient. 65% catch rate on a relatively low ADOT isn't great. 10 yards per target or 9.3 yards per reception, excuse me. And they threw the ball 601 times. I don't think they're going to have that much volume. This season, especially if the defense takes that step forward. But he is my tight end 8, so I don't necessarily have a problem with him moving up. Who'd you say was directly ahead of him?
He was way too low.
Directly ahead of him was still Fant and Goddard.
Fant should be ahead of him, but he should be ahead of Goddard at this point. And I think he's a little ahead of. I think there's a little distance between him and Higbee for me too.
All right. Do we think that it's funny to ask this about Logan Thomas since he was a top 5 tight end last year, but do we think he has, in a good year, top 5 upside, or is he kind of more of a safe fallback option?
I think he had, in a good year is pretty relative because there's been a lot of years where the number 5 tight end at the end of the year was just pretty close to number 8 or 9. So I think he definitely has top 5 upside. Yeah. But I don't think he has. If Mark Andrews has a regular Mark Andrews year, I don't think Logan Thomas probably has the upside to be better than Mark Andrews.
So I wrote about, I know you guys did the League Winners pod earlier this week. I wrote about that for the FFT newsletter today. And I kind of set the bar for a league winner or difference maker, whatever you want to call it, at 15 points per game for tight end. I think it would be really hard for him to get there. But there's only 5 tight ends who I think might have the chance to get there anyway, maybe 6.
Okay.
Everyone else on Washington, it would be better if J.D. McKissic would just go away.
Okay, how about the biggest ADP faller that we haven't talked about lately? At least not in depth. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is down 15 spots. He's QB 14. I think he was ahead of Burrow earlier. Now he's behind Joe Burrow. He's still a pretty good distance before Kirk Cousins at QB 15. But I'll go to you again, Jamie, first. QB 14 now for Trevor Lawrence, 110th overall. So this is behind Jalen Hurts. This is behind Joe Burrow, and into that range where people aren't really that excited as a week one starter. You know, Fields and Lance are a different story. But where do you think Trevor Lawrence belongs?
I think you get past the starting group and then you get to the 3 rookies and you know, you're looking for upside, you know, so we've had a lot of these conversations on the show on HQ about, you know, what do you do in a 1 quarterback league versus a 2 quarterback league? Because in a 2 quarterback league, it's hard to trust, let's say, Lance and Fields, because you don't know when exactly they're going to start. You know, you want to draft those guys as high upside type of, you know, number 3 quarterbacks more so than number 2 quarterbacks, because you're banking on potential, but you can't bank on them to help you in week 1. With Lawrence, you know, he's going to start week 1, but does he look more like he's looked in the preseason, or does he look more like the guy at Clemson? And, you know, again, he played the last game against the Saints without 3/5 of his offensive line. He's been playing without DJ Chark. Marvin Jones is banged up, you know, with the shoulder injury. So I think you just have to hope that, you know, all of these things come together for him, and factoring doesn't have Travis Etienne as well, that all these things come together for him come week 1, and he looks fantastic. Now, the thing I think is going to be misleading about Trevor Lawrence is he's probably going to go undrafted in some shallower leagues. He's probably going to be a guy that, you know, is you're not expecting much from, and he's going to look great in week 1 against the Texans. And so you're going to get people that are probably going to get a little overreacting, do some overreacting with Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to be Justin Herbert. At least I don't expect that to happen, because that was just such a phenomenal rookie season. But he could be similar to Joe Burrow, where there'll be some very good moments and maybe a lot of volume because of how they're chasing points. And so he could be a borderline starter by the end of the season. So I think he's well within the range of where he should go. One of the first backup quarterbacks to come off the board. Better in 1 quarterback. I'm sorry, better in the 1 quarterback, 2 quarterback leagues, you know, overall than the other 2 rookies, just because he's going to play right away.
And I think, like, one other thing, when you look at CBS ADP, amongst the top 16 or 17 quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford is the only ADP riser, and he's up 1 spot. All of them except for Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray are falling.
Yeah, but Lawrence was obviously falling farther. But I did notice that. And we love that, right? We love all those down arrows next to the quarterbacks.
That's the way it should be. I think Andrew Luck's rookie season might be a pretty decent expectation. I don't think Lawrence is going to throw the ball 630 times, but you know, Luck averaged 20.7 points per game in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, and that was with, you know, 18 touchdowns and not being as effective as a runner as he was later on in his career. You know, that's an underrated thing about Lawrence's game, is his athleticism. So, you know, I do think, like, if you end up with him as your starter and you waited, I think he'll be fine.
Andrew Luck was QB. Let me just double check here. I think he was QB 8. No, QB 10.
That was
a rookie.
That 2012. Okay, so that was 2011 was the historic season for quarterbacks where everybody was great, just like last year.
QB 10 for Luck, QB 11 per game. We will take that. Okay, so those are some of the biggest rank ADP risers and fallers. Now I'm going to tell you about our poker tournament. All right, so listen, this is awesome. It's 300. We got 300 spots available. It's the same night as the podcast league draft. It's Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to be hanging out with all of you on the Zoom. It's all done through Zoom, through Faded Spade. We're going to be hanging out with you. We'll pop into your private tables and we'll say hello and all that. But really what you're doing here is you're donating money to St. Jude. So this is amazing. So I'll tell you all the details specifically later when I bring on Tom Wheaton of Faded Spade. But starts out at $100 to buy in. If you win the tournament, you are in the For the People podcast league. Heath, you and I are going to have to talk about when that draft is going to be. But we'll figure that out. It might be a week after that. It might be the last Monday before the season starts. But you're in the podcast league. The top 10 finishers also get a prize, which I'll tell you about later on in the show. But I'm not going to ruin all that content because I have an interview to play for you in just a little bit. Now, the Fantasy Football Today Open was inspired by the Scott Fish Bowl. One of our listeners, Casey Simons, put it all together last year. a few hundred lists. I don't know exactly how many. Maybe it was around 200 people, all competing in a Scott Fishbowl type of league. There is a Facebook post about it. At least there should be by Friday. But Casey's going to organize it, and it's going to be great. And if you want to be in that, really fun. And Casey gives weekly updates. Like he's the best commissioner behind me, the best commissioner in the world of fantasy football. So that's the Fantasy Football Today Open. Check our Facebook page. I'll see if I can throw a link to that one in the episode description as well. Okay, guys, here are your news and notes. Mac Jones reportedly had a very good practice on Wednesday with Cam Newton out. I mean, a lot of raving about how good Mac Jones looked here. So, guys, who are you? If you were drafting today, would you draft Cam Newton or Mac Jones or neither or both? Heath, what would you do?
It's Cam Newton if you're drafting one of them. I mean, if it's a one quarterback league, it's quite possible neither of them is drafted. But if Cam Newton starts, there's a lot more hope that he is a top 12 fantasy quarterback than there is for Mac Jones, because we don't really expect Mac Jones to do much with his legs. And I still think this will be, even with Mac Jones wins the job, a pretty run heavy offense. So if I'm drafting one, it's Cam Newton.
It's good timing here, because a tweet that just crossed my timeline, quote, "Today wasn't as good. I can just control my effort every day. Mac Jones acknowledged his struggles during Thursday's practice." Apparently Thursday wasn't quite as good.
That quote sounds kind of like Daniel Jones the previous day, which
I think there might have been an interception on his first two passes of the day today. I think that's what I saw.
Giants DST. There's
it does
everybody between the two teams.
It does seem like the way the Patriots were approaching this is they're going to start Cam Newton unless he gives them a reason not to.
Yeah,
I don't know if this COVID thing was enough of a reason, but that's kind of, and it's either Newton or nobody in a 1 QB league for me.
And Bill Belichick said today that Newton didn't break any team rules. So I don't know what to make all that either.
All right. More news items here. Kenneth Gainwell has been working in the Philadelphia 2-minute drill. Mm-hmm. So Jamie, that's more bad news. Is that more bad news? You take this seriously for Miles Sanders?
Well, Adam, the clock is ticking on Miles Sanders. It's tough to trust him as a high-end number 2 running back. I think where he's going is probably even a little too high. In the 4th round range. It's not just going to be the passing downs work or the hurry up offense that they're going to use Gainwell in. They're going to see Boston Scott worked in. We're going to see maybe Jordan Howard worked in. I don't think they're tied to saying Miles Sanders is our featured guy, and Jalen Hurts, is going to run a little bit too. So I think you settle for Sanders. You don't target Sanders. So depending on how you build your team, if I can get him round 5, I'd be thrilled about that. But round 4 is probably something to stay away from. Gainwell is probably a poor man's version of James White and Giovanni Bernard and J.D. McKissick and those pass catching running backs that we like in PPR.
Would you guys rather have Miles Sanders or Darrell Henderson?
Sanders.
Man, it's close.
Do we think that Sony Michel really might be the best back there if they're both healthy? Does anybody think that?
I don't, but I see a lot of people that do.
I think it's possible. I don't think it's very likely. I think it's more likely that Sony Michel is the best back than it is that Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott is the best back.
Yeah,
I think you see a situation where Henderson gets hurt and Michel comes in and takes over and then doesn't lose the job.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what the Rams have told us through their actions since drafting Darrell Henderson tells us that they don't really like him all that much. I feel like going and getting Cam Akers literally the next year, barely using him even before Cam Akers, or not barely using him. He was, kind of the lead back, but never giving him lead back treatment even before Cam Akers broke out. They seem pretty frustrated with the injuries too. So I think there's a chance Sony Michel is the best running back there.
All right, Connor Hughes of The Athletic expects the Jets to use 3 running backs, Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, and Michael Carter. That's what they've been doing in the preseason.
Sucks.
And even LaMichael Pirine sounds like he's going to be the goal line back.
He got hurt, so we'll see how healthy he is.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah, but this is, again, we think that Carter can eventually rise, right? Here, yeah, it's not the
question is, I don't really believe that Carter can rise into a workhorse role. No, I don't think they want that, and he's never done it.
Okay.
I think
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he could rise into that role, knowing that Tevin Coleman's injury history is what it is, and Ty Johnson, I think, is just a guy. Now they both have to probably be absent for that to happen. You know, I don't think he's going to, you know, to your point, Heath, I don't think he's going to kick those guys off the field completely if they're all healthy. But again, you know, like the Rams situation, if one of the two of them get hurt, Carter is the more talented of the three right now. You know, Coleman, I think, has lost a step because of the injuries. Ty Johnson, I don't know exactly what, you know, where his ceiling is, but I don't think it's as high as Michael Carter's. And, you know, you have to rely on the people who know this as well as anybody. Emory Hunt said this was his favorite running back coming into the draft. You know, so Michael Carter, I still think, has a world of talent in front of him and hopefully a world of opportunity also.
Aaron Reese of The Athletic says Deshaun Watson could be a healthy scratch this season. Ryan Tannehill is on the reserve COVID list, but he will miss 5 to 10 days, so you don't have to worry about him for the regular season. Austin Eckler, here's another reason to draft Austin Eckler. If you like signed jerseys, every week, if you draft Austin Eckler, start him, and win your weekly matchup, and I think you have to send him a screenshot, he will pick a few winners to win an autographed jersey. So thank you for embracing fantasy football, Austin Eckler. We love that. We also love to see Saquon Barkley practicing. Yeah, there it is. Look at that on YouTube. Austin Eckler really wants to be on your fantasy team.
It's going to be a lot of signed jerseys.
Probably.
I think he's giving away one per week, right?
I think you should do it for every single person who wins with him in the lineup.
I don't believe that's the thing.
Winners will be chosen. Oh, thanks, Strager. Leave me out to dry there. I'm reading the damn thing. You get rid of it. Saquon Barkley practice, non-contact jersey. No, you know what, Tracker? I don't care. Take it down. We've moved. Winners will be chosen each week and sent a signed jersey.
Dang, I tried to get it off before you saw it again.
And so Barkley practice, but still no contact, which I think like people should really think about wearing the red jersey during regular season games. It would be a big advantage. And Giants cornerback Adoree Jackson hurt his ankle, but he could be ready for week 1. Big offseason acquisition for them. They have Denver in week 1. All right, let's hear from
Good
Tom.
bet, Adam.
What's that?
That was a good bet. I appreciated it.
What was?
Yeah, I thought it was too.
A red jersey bet.
Oh, thank you.
Just wanted to acknowledge it.
I appreciate
I
it.
know you need to feel seen.
I was just thinking, like, he must be awesome out there. He gets the ball. Nobody's allowed to touch him. All right, let's talk about poker here. Let's tell you how you can get in this tournament, how you can get into the podcast league, how you can hear me say the word tournament over and over and over again. So, Ben, roll the tape. Well, if you love poker and you love charity, we have the great, perfect combination of the two. And we are joined by the great Tom Wheaton of Faded Spade. Tom, welcome. How you doing?
Adam, what's up, man? You said it perfectly, my man. This is poker and fantasy football and philanthropy all coming together through Faded Spade Virtual Poker to raise funds for St. Jude.
Yes, and you guys do a lot of charity events, and we'll talk about that. But I want to give the details here. It's Monday, August 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to play some poker and donate to a great cause, Monday, August 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern. We only have 300 spots available. I mean, that's a lot, but they'll fill up. So don't waste too much time. It's a virtual poker tournament supporting St. Jude, and you can hang out with the Fantasy Football Today experts as well. We'll be popping in and saying hello to everybody while you play your poker. Tom's going to give all the details, but what you need to do to sign up is go to stjude.org/draftathon. stjude.org/draftathon. That's stjude.org/draftathon. And we'll also put the link in the episode description. Okay, Tom, take it away. What do the people need to know?
You got it, man. We've got a great structure for this event, right? And there's going to be 3 different kind of donation options for you. So in that link in the description, right, and stjude.org/draftathon, 3 options. $100 donation is going to get you a 5K starting stack, right? And there's going to be plenty of play. But if you really want to compete and try to win some of these prizes that Adam's going to talk about, a $200 donation is going to get you that 5K starting stack plus another 5K for a total of 10K. And then the $300 donation to St. Jude is going to get you that 5K starting stack plus an additional 10K add-on. So we want to raise money for St. Jude. The more chips you have, the better shot you have to actually win some great prizes.
And the big prize is a spot in the podcast league. Now, not the OG original podcast league, but the For the People podcast league, 10-team Superflex. We still have a spot available. Whoever wins the grand prize, that wins this tournament, gets in the podcast league. The top 10 finishers get a private 15-minute Zoom call with an FFT analyst. By the way, the registration and the Zoom instructions will be emailed the day of the tournament, which again is Monday, August 30th at 7 p.m. So if you win the whole thing, you're in the For the People Podcast League. If you finish in the top 10, you get a 15-minute Zoom call with a Fantasy Football Today analyst. And Tom, you organize a lot of charity virtual poker tournaments. So tell us about that and what people can expect.
Man, this was a great pivot for our Faded Spade business, usually known as the preferred poker playing cards of the World Poker Tour in the poker industry. But we pivoted to virtual poker, and in the last year, we've helped over 70 organizations raise over $5 million for their causes, right? So now we've got this really awesome partnership between CBS Fantasy Football Today and Faded Spade, bringing poker and fantasy football and philanthropy all together to support St. Jude. Man, poker is not a zero-sum game when it's for philanthropy, and everybody wins in this situation.
Well, Tom, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you on Monday. All right. Good stuff. Thank you so much, Tom Whedon. Again, I have the draft. I have the link for you in the episode description. So thanks again to Tom and all of you who are going to participate. This is just an absolutely amazing opportunity, and we're going to raise a ton of money. It's going to be great. It's all for St. Jude. So let's do ADP risers and fallers here. We look at Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp. They have the same ADP, about 48th overall. This is all on CBS. Mike Evans is up 10 spots. Cooper Kupp is up 5 or 6 spots. But I thought that was interesting that Mike Evans is a riser. I don't know that there's necessarily a rhyme or reason for it. But would you guys be happy with Evans and Kupp at the end of round 4 in a 12-team league, 48th overall?
Yeah.
I think, format matters. So both these guys, I think, are slightly better in non-PPR than PPR. Kupp is probably the same in both formats. Evans is, the touchdowns are going to be so huge for him. The only thing I don't like is some of the receivers going behind Mike Evans, based on the ADP. I think Kupp's in, fine range, right after his teammate and Robert Woods. You can argue Cooper Kupp versus Amari Cooper, but Evans going ahead of Lockett. I'd rather have Lockett. He's going ahead of Godwin. I think Godwin's better. I'll take DJ Moore for sure in PPR, so I liked Evans better in round 5, even though he's towing the line. But, I think what happens in drafts is you get panicked a little bit, especially doing drafts with non-fantasy analysts a few times over the last week or so, and they go with names that they know. And obviously Mike Evans has been productive and is a name most fantasy managers are well aware of.
Yeah, wide receiver 16 is a little pricey.
I was going to say, I like Kupp at the end of round 3. I don't really like Evans till the end of round 5. This is right in the middle, but I was just doing work for Adam, and this is the best value you're going to find for Mike Evans. He has a round 3 ADP in both ESPN and Yahoo. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, our maybe it's just rising to meet everyone else, but it's a little bit higher than I want to take Evans. But this is something I see a lot of when I share teams too. People see Robert Woods or Tyler Lockett on my team, and they really don't like it. But I ask them if it said Mike Evans as the number 2 wide receiver, and they say they would love it. So I think it's just that we are lower on Evans relative to these other wide receivers.
What do you make of, I always talk about the last 7 regular season, the first 7 games with Antonio Brown, right? That was when all 3 of them were healthy. In the 8th regular season game, Mike Evans left with an injury. In those 7 games, Evans was by far the best, and he was number 5 in non-PPR, number 7 PPR overall at wide receiver. He was on pace for 85 catches, 1,342 yards, 14 touchdowns on 135 targets. It's so weird because that's the most favorable split for Evans. Before Antonio Brown, when Chris Godwin played, Evans had 3 targets per game. And then in the playoffs, Godwin had the most targets.
Yeah, that's why I think you've got to include the playoffs there. Like any game that they all played, given that the sample size is so small in the regular season, you've got to include the playoffs.
Was he healthy? That's the only thing. Was he healthy? Because remember, he leaves week 17. They didn't have a bye.
Was he healthy early in the season when he was struggling? Because remember, he had that hamstring issue that cropped up several times early on. So it's like, you can do that either way, but at some point you're chopping these sample sizes up too small to like really get anything meaningful from them. I think you just kind of want to look at it in totality, because guess what? There's probably going to be a stretch this season where Mike Evans is playing through something.
Well, it's also, you go what Tom Brady said, that they didn't really start to feel comfortable with the offense till the end of the year. And, how much of that carries over to the offseason, to the start of this year. The thing that I fear about downgrading the Bucs, guys, is the narrative, which I think is a pretty strong one, of Brady wanting to break the passing record in Foxborough. And he needs to average it's like 300 something yards per game. I should probably know that number because I keep referencing it. But he needs to average whatever it is going into that game to break Breeze's record, which, knowing Tom Brady as well as I think we do, that's something I think he's going to want to do, to have that moment. And so who's going to benefit? Is it going to be one guy standing out significantly above the rest, or is it going to be all of them, benefiting across the board? And there are a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. So I think there could be some pretty significant numbers and performances early in the season. Will Evans be the one that benefits from that the most? Maybe. But I think, again, the cost here on our site is fantastic when you compare it to where you're getting him in other places.
All right. Tom Brady has 79,204 yards. Drew Brees has 80,358 yards. So what week is he playing the Patriots? Is it their fourth game or their third?
I think it's the fourth.
Oh, well, that won't be a problem then. So what, it was like 1,100 yards or so? So, yeah, if he's throwing for 280, what do we got? How much does he need? Anybody doing this math? Chris, I felt like you were doing the math.
Oh, no, I wasn't. I was
okay.
looking for something else
I
entirely.
was waiting for you to do it.
Well, I'm saying.
Well, you were actively doing the math. Why would I double check?
About 1,100 yards that he needs, and the Patriots game is the fourth game of the year, so I don't think he doesn't actually have to go off. And he's got Dallas and Atlanta to start, or no? Who does he have? All right,
Ben Roethlisberger is going to pass Dan Marino this season.
Let's go. Let's go
That's
to
wild.
Mike Davis, up 5 spots to 51st overall. Well, the guy right in front of Mike Davis is Travis Etienne. I would rather have Davis at this point. But you still have Jacobs and Sanders ahead of Davis. You have Henderson on his heels, but that's hard to know his true ADP. Gaskin behind Mike Davis. Heath, I think it's been he hasn't really played, and he hasn't played, and it's been a good off season, I guess, or preseason.
I think the biggest thing that a lot of people said in arguing against Mike Davis for the past 4 months since the draft is, they didn't draft anybody, but there's so many veterans out there. They're going to bring somebody in. So they're going to bring some, and it's still like we just saw it with Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson. It's still possible. He's not out of the woods yet, but I think people are realizing that currently the second best running back is either Kadri Allison, who couldn't beat out Brian Hill or Ito Smith the last 2 years, or Cordero Patterson, who's actually just a returner, or Caleb Huntley, who has, and I think
the one thing I would say to that is Mike Davis has a very long history in the NFL of not beating out some pretty crappy running backs too.
Like who?
I mean, he's been a starter for 14 games.
Well, but
in his whole career.
He was the backup to Christian McCaffrey, and
right. He was the backup to Christian McCaffrey.
He was the backup.
No, he got cut by the Bears, didn't he? He wasn't the backup.
I think the second year he got cut by the
Bears.
Bears.
He was originally the backup to Montgomery. Right? I think he was kind of the start.
He technically was the starter.
Argument that Kadri Allison or Cordero Patterson might be better than Mike Davis.
Oh, I think it's entirely possible.
All right. So, are you taking him over? Are you taking Mike Davis over Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs?
I'm not yet, but I'm not too far behind it.
I am.
You are? Damien?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So listen, I did some math all in my head, not on my phone. Tom Brady needs to average in his first 4 games. Week 4 is
3 games.
Oh, well, no, but I'm saying what he has to average in
to break it. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So week 4 is New England. He has to average 288.5 per game to break it in New England. Now the first 2 games are against Dallas and Atlanta. So that's
the third one's not so easy.
That's 800 yards. The Rams is probably 200 yards. So he'll need about 200 now. All right. Yeah, he can do it. He can do it.
He could also go for 400 against the Patriots if he really wants to try.
I think he's going to break it that game. Yeah, it's set up nicely for him. All right, next up, moving up the rankings. So let's just talk about Darrell Henderson. He's right behind Mike Davis. Where should he be right now, given what we just talked about, Jamie, with Sony Michel? Where should Henderson be?
Right after those guys. I think he has just as much upside as them still, but clearly the ceiling is now capped if Sony Michel is healthy. So the reason that I loved Henderson was because I didn't really trust the backups behind him as much as they were talking up Xavier Jones and maybe Jake Funk looked okay. I thought that Henderson, given the opportunity to be a 3-down back or as close to a 3-down back as maybe the Rams have had since Todd Gurley, that this was going to be a fantastic setup for him. And so it still very well could be. Sony Michel's got to pick up the playbook, and if Henderson gets off to a great start, he could, hopefully run away with the job. But Michel, the whatever the trade value you want to buy into it for, because the Rams don't really value draft picks, they're bringing in somebody that's got a pedigree and a track record. And, people look at Michel last year and say, okay, he played 9 games. He averaged over 5 yards per carry, nearly 6 yards per carry, 5.7. 2 consecutive seasons of 900 yards. The fact that the Patriots were clearly trying to showcase him in a trade by using him in the passing game in the second preseason game against the Eagles, 4 catches is not something you see from him on a weekly basis. But I don't think he's going to be a horrible pass catcher if they use him in that role. So it's going to be frustrating for Henderson potentially, but I just hope that his talent shines through and this, his connection, with this team, that he proves that he, the coaching staff, that they can trust him in this role.
Okay, let's go to our next guy here. Damien Harris, Chris. He's moving up 10 spots now, 82nd overall for Damien Harris. And we'll take a look at the running backs that are around him. And that would be, he's kind of in a world of his own. Raheem Mostert, Javonte Williams, they're around 70th overall. And then you got to wait another round for Damien Harris. Although, so I guess when you look at at ADP on our site and you see Damien Harris 82nd overall, but up 10 spots, well, that might mean he's actually going earlier than that. His current ADP is pulling up his old ADP. Let's say 75th overall or something like that. Do you think that's a decent spot for Damien Harris?
I'm not particularly he's RB30. I think that's probably a little too early. I don't know. I don't see a lot of upside with Damien Harris. He's had a ton of injury concerns since getting into the NFL. And I don't know. I guess if Mac Jones is the starter, he's got a better chance of scoring touchdowns, but I think the offense will be worse. He'll be a less efficient runner if Cam Newton's not there. So I think there's kind of a lot of things working against Harris in a way that I kind of feel like his ceiling is RB20 in a best case scenario. And there are guys going behind him I'd rather take the chance on because I think they have more ways for things to go right.
I think the ceiling argument's a lot more true in full PPR.
Sure.
And
yes.
Our ADP is a complete blend of non, half, and full PPR. And so that's where we kind of running back 30 and non PPR, I think, is a great value. Running back 30 and full PPR is right about where I would take Damien Harris.
Okay. How about
James? I'll buy this all day. I think Damien Harris is set up for a big season. Obviously he's not going to be great in full PPR, so the ceiling is correct. Maybe he gets to 17 or 18. Maybe things go his way. He gets a little higher than that. But they, gave you an indication how much they trust him by moving on from a veteran. Obviously, Ramondre Stevenson's performance has helped that as well. But I think you look at this offensive line got dramatically better than what it was a year ago. And so whichever quarterback is there, they're going to be a run-heavy team. And so this is going to, it's not going to be all Cam Newton. So Harris is set up for, I think a very solid performance and can be in, it's like the sliding scale of the non-pass catching running backs. Derrick Henry's the best. Nick Chubb's probably second best. J.K. Dobbins maybe is the third best. I wouldn't be surprised if Harris is fourth.
Okay. How about James Conner? Up 7 spots. Not really sure. I mean, the one thing is all of the running back ADP, it's just up. So not everyone. Leonard Fournette's moving down a little bit. Michael Carter moving down a little bit. David Johnson plummeting, and that makes sense.
I don't really see any reason to be more optimistic about James Conner right now than we have been throughout the offseason. He was able to play in the most recent game, but he played on one of the 3 drives with the starters. He played all 3 downs on that drive, but he shared the field with Chase Edmonds on 3rd down. So I don't know. I'm starting to think Chase Edmonds is at least going to get a shot to be a legitimate lead back. 2 out of every 3 drives, most 3rd downs kind of. And I think I've moved him up to 22 overall at running back now. I'm buying Chase Edmonds.
Let's
now.
go. That would be big for me.
Whoa. You were the James Conner guy.
Yes, originally, like 3 months ago.
You can't be celebrating Chase Edmonds now.
Come on, I've been pumping.
You can be on board, but you can't be celebrating.
Why is that?
Because you were pumping the horn.
Garbage. That was after
garbage.
That was during free agency.
Garbage.
That is garbage. I'm allowed to change my mind. It wasn't last week.
No, I'm not saying you can't change your mind, but you can't be celebrating Chase Edmonds like you were all in from the beginning.
I've been putting my money where my mouth is. Not my actual money. I've been drafting Chase Edmonds.
That's fine. I'm just saying you can't celebrate Chase Edmonds the way you are.
I absolutely can celebrate. And you know what, Jamie?
You can't be dancing when Chase Edmonds' name is brought up.
I am in raise the roof territory. I have no.
Adam, you can dance if you want to.
I will.
You can leave your friends behind.
I will absolutely leave Jamie behind. There's no Jamie can't.
Jamie doesn't dance.
I'm not going to be.
Yeah, I'm still not sure.
What'd you say?
I'm still not sure. I'm not dancing for Chase Edmonds yet.
No, we should. I was just.
Rondale Moore's usage has worried me more than the James Conner injury has excited me.
Rondale Moore is. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't played.
I don't know. I don't know if Rondale Moore is going to be the starter.
I don't know for sure either. I think they're going to scheme him touches though.
Yeah.
And it's the types of plays that that are good for Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, everything I've seen has suggested that Christian Kirk is still the starting slot, but in the preseason with no Hopkins around, he's played every snap I think outside. So they play more for wide receiver than any team in the league. They'll probably do it even more this year now that they don't really have a viable tight end receiver option. So I'm not sure where I'm at on that yet.
Ridiculous. No, I am allowed.
No way.
I make a call on James Conner months ago. I changed my mind. I am allowed to be excited about Chase. Bottom line is I'm higher on Chase Edmonds than anyone on the show. So that gives me the dancing opportunity.
Chris just said he had him running back 22. You've got Chase Edmonds higher than running back 22?
Not of rankings, but probably. Who do you have ahead of?
I will say this is my first year doing football rankings. It's so much easier to do that when you don't have rankings. And you can say everyone's too low on this guy, and you don't have to put your guy out there.
My gut is that no, I would not have him at that high.
Oh, so you're calling me stupid.
Let me see. 22. Oh, Dave has him at 22.
There you go.
He'd be right around. I think he'd be like 24. I would probably
you hate Chase Edmonds.
Wow, you are no longer the Chase Edmonds guy.
I'm all about James Conner again. All right. Antonio Brown up 7 spots to 105th overall. Is he a top 100? Let's go through these quick. Is Antonio Brown a top 100 pick for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
He might be just outside for me.
Would you rather have Antonio Brown or Corey Davis, who's actually one of the biggest risers in the world right now?
Davis.
Antonio Brown. And yeah, Corey Davis should be because he was in like round 15. He's risen 30 spots, and I think he's still in round 10. But yeah, I would rather have Antonio Brown. I'm just not sure that Davis is going to dominate targets like this in the regular season when Elijah Moore is there and he's actually facing number 1 corners.
Okay. And Irv Smith is up 12 spots to 114th overall. Jamie, where's Irv Smith? You like Irv Smith. You dance for Irv Smith.
Yeah, top 50 overall is where he should go. Again, I think he's going to have a chance to be a significant red zone threat, and I'll continue to say, bold prediction is he's going to score 10 plus touchdowns. So I like what I saw in the 4 games that Kyle Rudolph missed last season. I like the way that Kirk Cousins has leaned on his tight ends in the red zone during his time there. The volume concerns are certainly valid, and I don't think he's going to be as good in PPR as a non-PPR. But I think, if he gets to that 10 touchdown threshold, you're looking at a better version of Robert Tonyan.
Where is he now?
114th overall.
Yeah, hate that. Way too high. I've got him 115th overall.
One thing I'll say is, if you're drafting Irv Smith, you should do so with the at least thought that you might not be able to rely on him all season. But one reason to draft him, it does sound like Tyler Conklin may not be available for at least week 1, if not longer. He's dealing with like an upper leg injury. So, that could help him. Yeah,
because Conklin had the very similar amount of targets in those 4 games without Kyle Rudolph last year.
And would you say it's possible that Conklin could nerf Smith's value when he returns?
Man, I was supposed to say that once a show, and I haven't said it 0 times since since I learned about
Are you playing Call of Duty? What's going on? Where did this get added?
I don't even remember, Heath. What was it? Somebody said it. I'd never heard of it before.
Someone said it. Adam had never heard it. And I explained to Adam what I do with my teenagers is when I hear a word like that and I really don't enjoy it, I just say it all the time until they hate it. And then nobody in the house says it.
Yeah, that's got to be so frustrating because I know your kid's a big FPS guy, and that's like a huge term.
I have ruined many things for him.
Wow.
And it's really great. It's the best part of having kids, probably.
Okay, Jamie, Jamaal Williams is up 15 spots to 117th overall. Given DeAndre Swift's injury situation now, where do you think Jamaal Williams should be going?
There's a good range for him. You know, I think you just look at, he was going to always play. You had is he the 1A, you know, whatever stupid thing they were saying at the beginning of the, training camp. He's not better than DeAndre Swift, but he may be more available than DeAndre Swift. And the latest report about Swift may, not be up to full strength or maybe even miss week 1 should get you more excited about Jamaal Williams. So he's proven at times to be a good fill-in, but that was on a much better team. So if you're looking for a, number 4 running back with, potential flex opportunity with or without DeAndre Swift on the field, I think he's in that range. And if Swift misses any time, then he's a borderline starter.
I am the DeAndre Swift lover. I am dancing for DeAndre Swift, and I have Jamaal Williams 20 spots higher than this.
Where do you have him at running back?
Williams?
Yeah.
I think 34.
Okay, yeah, I've got him at 33, so right around the same.
Yeah, I'm at 30. I'm at somewhere.
You would have him around 50.
No, I was going to take him in the IDP league. I kept waiting, and he was there for so long. Somebody finally took him, but I just don't think he's very good. But I do see an opportunity for him to be very start worthy. Not if Swift is healthy, but you got to be a little concerned about that. Okay, ADP fallers. Hey, DeAndre Swift. He's down 4 spots. He's 33rd overall. Swift is behind J.K. Dobbins. He's still ahead of Chris Carson. Chris, rather. I'm sorry. What do you think about those rankings of it? It would be Dobbins, Swift, Carson.
I think that's the right range. I actually would probably have Dobbins last out of that group. David Montgomery's right there with them as well in ADP. I think I would probably have Dobbins last and Swift second out of that group of 4.
Yeah, I dropped Dobbins quite a bit just for injury concerns. I've got him all the way down to 30 now. And I have him behind Chris Carson. So I think Carson should go ahead of him.
You mean Swift or Dobbins?
Swift.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got him quite a ways ahead of Dobbins still in PPR. I didn't drop Dobbins. I just always had him in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, I'm out on Swift at this price.
Totally. At 33rd overall?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Got a lot of upside. He had almost 50 catches last year as a rookie.
He has a lot of upside. He's on a team that's projected to win 5 games. He's got, more competition for a pass catching running back than he had a year ago. He's dealing with a groin injury. There's just a lot of red flags for me.
I will say, the 5 games thing doesn't bother me as much because he was so good on a per touch basis last year on a team that won 5 games.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me if he's involved in the passing game. That's the thing. I mean,
I hope he is, but at what point does this soft tissue injury become a problem again? And teams are just saying, okay, we're going to dare Jared Goff to throw to TJ Hawkinson and Chris, Heath, and Adam at wide receiver. That's basically what this receiving core looks like. It just feels like a bad setup all across the board.
Well, the problem that I think you're going to run into is if you're saying, all right, I'll take Dobbins ahead of him. Okay, fine. I'll take Carson's ahead of him. I'll take James Robinson. You take James Robinson ahead of him?
I would.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but once you get past that, now it's Jacobs, it's Sanders, it's Gaskin.
Well, again, you're talking about the position, which I get, so depending on how you build your team, I'm taking receivers in that range.
Fine. But if you did want a running back, I don't know. Maybe it's hard to get him.
I would rather personally pass and wait around and get Henderson or Edmonds or Harris.
Edmonds. Interesting. Okay. Just kidding. I love Chase.
No, he's in that range for me. I mean, Chris has him 22, I have him 26. It's not like we're that far off.
Mark Andrews
you
down
40th, but you dancing.
I like a lot of running backs. What can I tell you?
Yeah, you have James Conner 39th.
39th, yeah. Mark Andrews down 6 spots to 53rd overall. I think just people hate Heath.
Can you just pull up the list and look at how many down arrows are next to the red injury tag? Because I think that's a correlation.
Oh, okay.
Like people see injuries and they get a little nervous.
And Mark Andrews was like really scary for like 10 minutes. And if it still says ambulance in the
there's no tag on him.
You have an injury tag.
Oh, yeah. No tag anymore. Okay.
Well, he did.
I don't have any idea.
He did for a week.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. All right. So that probably explains it.
But the tight end, like Waller's moving up closer to Kittle, which is where he should be. But Pitts is, a round ahead of TJ Hawkinson. That's weird to me. Hawkinson's the one who stands out the most, I think. He does have a little red tag next to him, though. So
he's injured. Yeah. He's 65th.
AC joint.
Pitts and Andrews have basically the same exact ADP. Yeah. And Jamar Chase down 5 spots to 70th overall. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first it was can't separate from defenders in practice. Then it was 3 drops. This is a big week for him because some positive reports coming out of how he's, responded to this and the drops. But if Joe Burrow's going to play in a preseason game and those 2 guys get a chance to hook up and you get to see what the connection that everybody's buying into, which is what you should be buying into, then you'll be right back on board with Jamar Chase, I think, or at least most people will.
I could see some potential gaskening for Jamar Chase. It's not going to take much for his ADP to shoot back up.
Right.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would be worried about is just like they're starting to talk openly about like, well, we might manage his reps early on in the season as he gets up to speed, and they really like Auden Tate. So there has been some talk about that the coaching staff is like openly talking about, like not that they're going to bench him, but that he may be like a 65% snap share early on. But I don't think that's really like your expectation should be that he's not like a stud from week 1. Your expectation should be that, like we've seen with a lot of rookie wide receivers, it might take him a little while to get going.
It always does.
Yeah, I mean, there was this same talk with Justin Jefferson during the preseason last year.
Oh, he was not a starter. Olabisi Johnson was the talk of training camp.
Thank you. Great point.
A year ago.
Great point. I just think some players are just going to end up being great values if you're just a little bit patient. Just because you drafted him as one of your first 2 or 3 receivers, it doesn't mean you have to start him.
Right.
So just take the talent. And I kind of feel the same way about Michael Carter. I know Heath doesn't feel like the way I do because he doesn't see the same upside in terms of carries and total touches. But I still think Michael Carter, if you can get him in the 8th round or something like that, because people say, 3-headed monster, he might be useless for a month. But I definitely could see him being at worst a flex.
There's always the risk that people will drop him there, though. That's always the concern. And like, he was the 4th running back taken this year, but the history of running backs after pick 100, your expectation should be that they don't do anything as a rookie and very rarely become viable starters.
Yes, sorry, I got distracted by something. Jamie had to hop off. That's what I got distracted by for HQ. And we will continue. The last faller is just, makes sense. Jared Cook. I don't know why he's falling, but he's falling. He's down 7 spots. He's now just behind Irv Smith at 115th overall. Jared Cook might be someone that being drafted as a top 12 tight end. We have maybe said 12 words about Jared Cook over the last few months.
That might be an indictment of us, though.
Maybe
we've seen him like if they're installing the Saints offense, like it sounds like they are. That's very similar. We've seen him be very good in this offense.
I don't care. If they're installing the Saints offense and the plan is to throw him 4 targets per game and he's going to score 10 touchdowns, I'm not going to draft him, and I'll be wrong again. I'm not doing this. And I know that I said this at the beginning of last year. There's no way he's going to have 65 targets and score 8 touchdowns again. And he did it 2 years in a row. I don't buy it. Also, I think that Donald Parham might be the Chargers' best tight end.
There's been some talk about that in camp as well.
Yeah, and even if Jared Cook plays, Heath, that doesn't par him from contributing another weight. I don't know. I was trying to do a Heath there, like bar him from, I tried. Heath, ADP on other websites. What can you tell us?
This is something I've been extensively researching over the past week just to get ready for this show. So I'm glad we saved it
on a different episode
for the 55th minute. No, it's what I did the first 15 minutes when I wasn't talking on the podcast. Yeah, Yahoo and ESPN. I will write about this and it will be on the site, but just a few highlights, things I like, things I don't like. It's too bad Jamie had to leave because on ESPN, I really don't like Saquon Barkley at number 6 overall. Makes it much easier for me to write about him as a bust when he's number 6 than when he's number 13 on our site. But he's second round Saquon for me. The other 4 that I really don't like on ESPN, Mike Evans at 33. We'll skip this one. Odell Beckham at 63, so early round 6.
And let me just tell you on CBS, Odell Beckham is 88th.
Right. That's where he should be.
Yeah, I've got him 103rd, and Logan Thomas at 66. I like Logan Thomas. I am not going to draft him in the 6th round.
Yeah,
66.
Where are like Hawkinson and Andrews going?
Listen, I can't be answering all these questions. I only have the ones that I wrote down during the beginning of the show.
Beckham, actually, I just recorded an episode of Fantasy Football Today in 5. It will air on Sunday with Jacob Gibbs. We did a Beckham breakdown. It's good stuff there. What else?
Is Gibbs more optimistic about Beckham?
He would take Beckham in the top 70.
Okay, so there he
drafts on ESPN.
Obviously. Players being drafted after Odell Beckham on ESPN. How about this run to start round 7? Myles Gaskin at 73rd overall. Robbie Anderson at 74th. Chase Claypool at 75th. Mike Davis at 76th.
Wow, Mike Davis. I don't know what world. This is not a criticism of ESPN, by the way. It's not like it's their fault, all right? I'm just saying I
blame them.
I mean, even Brandon Cooks is behind Odell Beckham. I'd rather have Beckham.
You'd rather have Beckham
or have Cooks. Sorry.
Yes.
That's really close.
It's not that close to me.
No.
I don't see Cooks having a ton of upside, but he's much safer than Beckham. But yeah, fine. But Davis in the 70s, that would be pretty good.
Yeah. 4 more on ESPN that are good that are a little later. Damien Harris is 88th overall, so a round 8 pick. Devin Singletary at the end of round 12, pick 143.
I love that.
Terrace Marshall and Giovanni Bernard are both outside the top 200 in ADP on ESPN. And ESPN's full PPR is their standard setting. So Gio at 217.
Can you do a litlittle control F for someone?
Yeah, no problem, Adam.
I just want to know where James White is going.
Yeah.
I've got 48 at RB, 162.6 ADP.
Yeah, I mean he shouldn't be 60 picks ahead of Gio or whatever it was, 50 picks.
Right.
Yeah. I'll throw out a couple on ESPN. Adam Thielen's wide receiver 16. That is wild.
He was the one I skipped that I had as a bad ADP. Yes.
Yeah, he's 4 picks ahead of Julio Jones and 8 picks ahead of Tyler Lockett and Cooper Kupp. There's DJ Moore is 17 picks after him. There is no world in which that makes sense.
Yahoo is half PPR. There are a lot more good values that I found. The ones I don't like, J.K. Dobbins is 26th. CD Lamb is 35th.
I'm not even. I think everybody's overreacting about. I don't know. I don't know if people are overreacting about that.
I haven't changed Dobbins at all.
Half PPR, 26th overall, so that's your 3rd pick. You start Kamara, Jefferson, Dobbins. I'd be fine with that in half PPR. No way would I take him that early in full PPR though.
Lamb is 35th. That's one that probably makes more sense in PPR than half PPR. But I just not taking CD Lamb in round 3. I'd rather take Amari Cooper. Kyle Pitts is a 4th rounder on Yahoo. Tyler Higbee is the Logan Thomas of Yahoo. Higbee has an ADP of 65th.
Wow.
5th pick of round 6.
Man, Noah Fant is tight end 10 on Yahoo right now.
Behind Robert Tonyan, who is the
and
first
Dallas
pick of round
Goedert.
8. Yes.
Logan Thomas is 11.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. Ronald Jones is a 6th round pick on Yahoo. the only site that I've seen where Jones is ahead of Fournette, and I do have Jones ahead of Fournette, but I don't have either one of them in my first 8 rounds. The good values are more fun. I wrote about Jacoby Myers today as one of my deep sleepers on every team, and I always choose players outside of the top 180 in ADP. And Jacoby Myers' ADP is not moving. On CBS, he's 149, and he's not a riser. On Yahoo, he's 184.
I'm surprised it's that high.
You guys like Jacoby Myers or Marquez Callaway?
Myers.
Callaway for me.
Others.
Give me the guy with Jameis throwing to him, you know?
Yeah.
You mean
for at least 4 weeks.
Oh, you mean Thomas? Is that Mike Thomas? Right? Yeah. Okay.
It's mostly the wide receivers. It must be a 2 wide receiver setup over on Yahoo, but Chase Claypool is Jamar Chase is pick 78 in round 7. Juju is pick 91. Michael Thomas is pick 95. Jerry Jeudy, Dave's
keep going down the list.
Dave's 3rd round pick, Jerry Jeudy, is pick 99. I tried to find a couple of running backs value I liked. I like Kenyon Drake at pick 120, the end of the 10th round. I like Jamaal Williams at pick 138. Laviska Shenault, 153.
Yeah.
Marvin Jones, 174.
Who do you like better?
I like Shenault better, and at that range, I don't know that the 20 picks matter.
No, it doesn't.
Sure. Yeah, so it seems like if you're playing on Yahoo, unless, again, we don't know the specifics of the ADP, maybe this is for 2 receiver leagues and you're going to play in a 3 receiver league or something like that, but good value at wide receiver very late. It's a fun set. I always enjoy this segment, Heath, because it's the work you put in. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I spend countless hours researching this to bring you all the best content, and I just appreciate everyone that's still listening because Adam always puts this segment in the 55th minute.
Well, you know, people, you don't know this, but people actually, in new podcast trend, people listen to the end of the show first. So that's why I did this for you.
You know,
Maybe
some
next year
people
we
listen.
have Chris write the article, and you could promote it a little bit.
Chris will ghostwrite it for
What?
you. I always promote stuff.
You heard it here first, folks. Chris Towers, the star of fantasy football today.
I always promote things that you write. I did that for the baseball show. I did that for the football show. And I never promote things that Dave, Jamie, or Heath write. I don't know why. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll come back tomorrow with a mailbag, fantasyfootball@cbsi.com, and Apple Podcast reviews as well. And yes, stjude.org/draftathon to donate to play poker. stjude.org/draftathon. See ya.